One of history's most devastating natural disasters happened on April 18, 1906, when San Francisco was rocked by a catastrophic earthquake and fire that forever altered the city's landscape. Amongst the most heartbreaking casualties were the city's magnificent houses of worship. In this video, we'll journey through the destruction of iconic structures like Old St. Mary's Cathedral, Grace Cathedral, St. Dominic's, and more. These architectural treasures collapsed in seconds and succumbed to the raging inferno that followed. These sacred spaces, once spiritual anchors for San Francisco's diverse communities, became symbols of both tremendous loss and remarkable resilience that will define the city's rebirth from the ashes. Cecil B. DeMille made two versions of the Ten Commandments, the 1956 version and the lesser-known 1923 silent film. You are now viewing the 1923 version, which has two stories within the film. The first part is the story of Moses and the Ten Commandments, and the second part is a modern-day 1923 story of two brothers, one good and one bad. The modern story was filmed mainly in Washington Square in San Francisco during the reconstruction of Saints Peter and Paul Church. I thought these Ten Commandments scenes were a good example of what it might have been like the day of the 1906 San Francisco earthquake, as many churches around the city collapsed, and the reconstruction of these churches afterwards. Although the scenes you are watching of the cathedral collapsing were created on one of Cecil D. DeMille's elaborate sets, the construction scenes are the real-life scenes of St. Peter and Paul Church being rebuilt after the Great Quake. The first St. Peter and Paul Church was built in 1884 on the corner of Filbert Street and Grant Street. After it was destroyed by the Great Quake in 1906, construction on the new and current building was completed in 1924. Today, St. Peter and Paul's Church still stands in San Francisco's North Beach neighborhood, located at 66 Fillmore Street. After its co-starring role in the Ten Commandments, the church was prominently featured in the Clint Eastwood movies Dirty Harry and Deadpool, along with the movies What's Up, Doc?, Sisters Act 2, Getting Even with Dad, and ironically, the earthquake film San Andreas. Fun fact, in 1939, legendary baseball player and local Joe DiMaggio married Dorothy Arnold in Peter and Paul Church. In addition, it is also the location where Marilyn Monroe and Joe DiMaggio took their newlywed photos after their civil ceremony in 1954. In 1999, Joe DiMaggio passed away at the age of 84. Being his beloved parish, his funeral was held at the church in the neighborhood and city he so loved. The iconic Episcopal Grace Cathedral on Nob Hill was heavily damaged during the earthquake. The entire building burnt down in the fire that followed the earthquake and became a shell of itself. It remained a picturesque ruin for months, and a temporary church was built in 1907. The current Grace Cathedral didn't start taking form until the 1930s and wasn't fully completed until 1964. The Little Grace Chapel was built during the 1849 gold rush on Powell Street near Jackson Street. In those days, the services saw mostly miners, and the collection plates consisted of gold dust. Soon the church moved to a Gothic church that opened up the hill at California and Stockton Streets. At that time, a high society congregation joined the parish, including Leland Stanford and the Junior Crockers. Even Mark Twain visited the church. Before the 1906 earthquake, Nob Hill was an array of mansions. Most were destroyed during the earthquake and by the fire afterwards. One of these mansions was owned by the wealthy Crockers. When their mansion was destroyed by the disaster, they donated the land for the cathedral to be built. I have had the pleasure of visiting the great cathedral and was in awe at its magnificent grandeur, famous stained glass windows, and learning more about how the modern labyrinth movement started in this cathedral, a movement that promotes reflection and meditation. A couple of fun facts about the cathedral. One of the early rectors was Reverend James Bush, and is an ancestor of the two Bush presidents. The body of the famous and wealthy William Randolph Hearst was laid in state at Grace Cathedral. And former Bill Clinton prayed at Grace Cathedral during a trip to San Francisco in 1994. Secret Service was all over the church. One of the aftermath skeleton churches I found the most pictures of is St. Boniface Catholic Church. The church is in the Tenderloin neighborhood of San Francisco. Unfortunately, this neighborhood is known as a high crime neighborhood, particularly violent street crimes such as robbery and aggravated assault. To help its community, the church has become a place of safety for the homeless. In this dimly lit holy place, the homeless can stretch out on the 14-inch wide pews and get some sleep without being assaulted. Before the earthquake, the Tenderloin was a residential area with wood buildings and homes, which were all destroyed in the quake and the fire. The earthquake led to the area attracting single workers, and it became known for its nightlife, including gambling, speakeasies, restaurants, and theaters. When I researched this church in the archives, it was marked as the German church. It took a while to figure out that this was St. Boniface Church, which turned out to be the oldest German Catholic church in the area. The church was established in 1860 with roots dating back to 1852 and had served as a mainstay of San Francisco's early German community. The original church building, erected in 1868, was severely damaged by an earthquake prior to the 1906 earthquake. This prompted the construction of a new church at the current location in 1902. Then the 1906 earthquake and the fire destroyed the newly built church. The German-American parishioners of St. Boniface became part of the workforce that rebuilt the city, and the church was rebuilt in 1908, with the present Romanesque Revival building being a reconstruction of the third church in the history of the parish. Fun fact, the name, the Tenderloin, is believed to have its origins in New York City, where it describes a district known for corruption. I have been told that the name came from a saying that the police were so corrupt they could afford tenderloin. The St. Francis of Assisi's Church was dedicated as a parish church on March 17, 1860. But during the 1906 earthquake and fire, the interior was fully damaged and gutted. Using what was left of the existing exterior walls and twin bell towers, a new church interior was built and rededicated on March 2, 1919. St. Francis of Assisi's is a historic Norman Gothic Catholic church which is located in the famous North Beach neighborhood. It was known for its early sermons that were offered in many languages to reflect the community. In present day, it is also known as the National Shrine of St. Francis of Assisi, which brings in thousands of pilgrims and visitors to venerate holy relics and its beautiful shrine. Fun fact, it is considered the oldest church in California outside the Spanish missions. Speaking of California missions, San Francisco's Mission Dolores was established in 1776 by the Franciscan Order. The mission is the oldest surviving building in San Francisco. After the 1906 earthquake and fire, the mission adobe chapel was largely spared. Next to the Mission Dolores adobe chapel, a basilica was built to replace the brick church built in 1876 that was severely damaged in the quake. So many houses of worship were gutted or completely destroyed in the 1906 earthquake. We have covered just a few. Many across the San Francisco Bay Area are either gone forever or were rebuilt and are still carrying on, only to face the next big earthquake lurking beneath a city on the brink of its next pending disaster.